Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me. I'm Joana Cerejo, and I'm super excited to have you all here on my first ever Maven session. And before I get started, if you are excited to be here as much as I am, leave a hi in the chat or in the comment section if you are seeing the recording, and let me know where you are joining from and why you joined this session. I'm very curious to know your expectations. And for today's session, I'm going to take one of those almost sacred tools in design, personas, and ask a very direct question. With the rise of AI, does personas still make sense? I'm curious about your perspective. If you want, you can answer this question by following the link or scanning the QR code. If you are seeing the recording, no problem. You can still participate in the poll. The link will still working. So, how do you feel with the rise of AI? Do you still think that personas still make sense? There's no right or wrong answer, so please feel free to participate. Although things are evolving, personas still make sense, but maybe now they are meant to serve a different purpose. So with that being said, let me introduce quickly to today's agenda. First, I will show you how design problems has fundamentally changed since the rise of AI, and why the tools that work in the past, like personas, don't work for adaptive AI systems. Then I will look at what personas miss about how humans actually behave, and I will use an example to walk you through these changes. Finally, I will introduce an alternative to personas, an approach called audience factors. And I will show you exactly how to turn these factors into AI system logic. Not just theory, but something that you can take back to your team even today or tomorrow. So, who I am to challenge one of the most oldest tools in our industry? I have been a product designer since 2010. I work for industries like fintech, e-learning, retail, accounting, and currently manufacturing at Hexagon. But for the last 10 years, I have been specifically focused on AI native design and behavior science. My work focuses on translating complex machine learning capabilities into experience that respects human intent, agency, and trust. That work got me nominated for the Woman in AI Award back in 2021, and I hold a PhD, and my research focus on exploring anticipatory experience and sustainable human-machine relationships. And I'm also the author of the Anticipatory Design Playbook, where I share how to design AI systems that move beyond predictions to support meaningful human choices. And that's why I'm sharing my experience here today with you all. So let's start with the core issue. The design problem itself has fundamentally changed with the rise of AI. But here's the uncomfortable truth. I still see teams using a 30-year-old framework to design these cutting-edge systems. And if you work in design or product management, you are probably heard this question a million of times. It's almost a ritual, right? The first step in any project. Do we have a personas template? But let's be realistic. Before I critique personas, we need to understand what made them brilliant for their time. For a long time, this really was the right approach. Personas brought order to the chaos. They gave structure to the research, create a language the whole team could understand, help build empathy, and maybe most importantly, stopped engineering from building products just for themselves. So, Alan Cooper introduced personas in the late 90s. He was really solving a critical problem. Engineers had no mental model of actual users. They designed for themselves. And that was a disaster. Cooper gave us an archetype based on goals, narrative descriptions to build empathy, and a primary person to bring focus and prevent feature bloat. But This only worked because back then, interfaces were static. User goals were way more stable and predictable than they are today. If we were designing Microsoft Word, your user goals were very simple. I want to write a document. That goal didn't change or evolve much from Monday to Friday. And this was exactly the right approach for the time. But here's what's different now. We are not designing static screens anymore. We are designing adapted AI systems that personalize content at an individual level. We are building products where behavior change isn't a nice effect. It's the entire value proposition of the service. Think of Spotify. It doesn't just let you browse music. It learns what you like and surfaces new recommendations. Netflix doesn't show everyone the same homepage. It adapts to your view patterns. If they do that, good or bad, that's an entire different discussion. So, when we design AI systems that adapt content at an individual level and intervene based on what the system thinks the user needs, traditional personas start to break down. Personas assume stable goals, but in many AI products, goals evolve as people move through stage of change. Personas narratives tell us who someone is, but they say nothing about the current ability and motivation state, which is exactly what adapted systems need. And personas encourage a singular focus. That works well when you ship one interface, but it becomes limiting when a system must support many states through hyper-personalization. So the same simplification that made personas powerful for static interfaces become a liability when behavior is dynamic and systems can and should adapt to user needs and context. So let's look at this shift carefully. Before, we designed one interface for a segment of users. Now, we design systems that must adapt to each individual. Before, users found what they need on their own, and now the system must behave proactively, decide what to show and when. And before, if behavior change was a nice side effect, now behavior change is the whole point. Therefore, we need to understand what personas ignore about how humans behave. Because I'm not inventing the wheel here. Behavior science has known this for decades. People don't relate to change in a single linear way. So let me show how personas break when we introduce an AI layer to the service. Imagine that you are designing an AI fitness coaching app. And of course, you created the typical business professional Sarah. A classic, right? Age 34, wants to get fit, limit time, inconsistent motivation from a generation that is tech savvy. Your AI design seems obvious. Maybe schedule early morning workouts, send motivation goals, track progress, and offer 20-minute session because she's a very, very, very busy person. On paper, it looks reasonable, but here's the problem. This app will fail Sarah most of the time. And let's understand why. Because the busy professional Sarah isn't one person on one journey. She's really 5 different users depending on her motivation, ability, and behavior at a certain time or moment. When we build intelligent service, users enter at different levels of motivations and engagements. Users will never all start from the same place. And the problem is that most companies focus only on the doing level, the action itself. And let me show you what I mean. So first, there's Sarah in the pre-contemplation. She knows she should work out more, but she's not seriously thinking about exercising yet. In this pre-contemplation state, a user like Sarah might carry that weight on her conscience that she should start working out. So for that reason she's make the commitment of downloading your fitness app. But then your AI start suggesting time for your 6 a.m. run. You're busy, Sarah. And she starts to feel guilt and pressure. She wasn't ready for that level of commitment. At this point, at this stage of pre-contemplation, she's most likely deleting your app. What she actually needs at this moment is absolutely nothing. Zero proactive intervention. Maybe some educational content if she opens the app, but no pushing to hard goals when the user is not even yet ready to make the commitment. So next, she now thinks about exercising, but she's deeply ambivalent. She is in a contemplation state. In this state, your AI tries to motivate her. Your workout strike is broken. Don't give up. The result of this type of motivation is that she doesn't feel motivated at all. She feels ashamed. Shame blocks action, and she may delete your app at this moment. Because what she needs is support that understands what's stopping her from working out more. Your system should say, what's in your way right now? Help identify those obstacles and reduce the barriers so the user don't feel guilt and don't give up on your fitness app. Then at this point, Sarah is convinced that she needs to start working out and start making plans. So she moved to a commitment level. Now Sarah is in the preparation state. And here your AI offered things like complete this 30 days challenge. And again, Sarah frees. The commitment feels massive. She's overwhelmed. So she does nothing. So what would have worked here? A micro commitment. How about just walking for 10 minutes today? That's it. Just 10 minutes. Lower the barrier. Make the first step so small it feels doable. So the user start creating more commitment in using your service. Then there's Sarah finding out that she loves working out and starts to be really invested on your fitness app. This is early activation state, but this is also a very fragile state because there is evidence that it takes more or less 21 days for a person to form a new habit. And forming a new habit is extremely hard. And at this state, your AI could say, great job, see you tomorrow. But tomorrow is hard. One day turns into two turns into a week, and she falls off. So what Sarah needs at this stage? Immediate, frequent reinforcement, daily check-ins, early relapse prevention strategy. You need to support her intensively during this critical window. So in the end, Sarah learns how to exercise every day. She is engaged for months now. It's becoming part of her daily routine. And this is the final state, the maintenance state. Now, she wants to push herself even more. She wants to evolve, but your AI is still treating her like everyone else, sounding, don't forget to work out today. Her response, she's annoyed. It feels patronizing. She knows that she will go into work out tomorrow. It's part of her routine, so she doesn't need a reminder. What does she really need right now is challengings, community, and advanced training programs, not the basic motivation she needed 6 months ago. So, the same person, the same demographic persona, but 5 fundamentally different behavior requirements. So, what you just saw here is the trans-theoretical model developed in the 70s by Prochaska, describing the 6 stages of behavior change. What I just walked you through with Sarah isn't an edge case. It's how all humans move through. Each stage needs different interventions, messagings, and interface affordance. And yet, in 2026, many product teams still create personas that ignore this. Traditional personas ignore these fundamental shifts because they were designed for aligning static decisions. The persona tells you she's a busy professional with inconsistent motivation, but it doesn't tell you how motivation fluctuates across predictable stages, nor how your system should adapt to those shifts in real time. This is what personas miss entirely. Motivation isn't a stable trait. It fluctuates constantly. And ability isn't fixed. It's context dependent. Sarah has different capacities on weekends versus during work hours. And the timing, the same prompt at the wrong moment can be counterproductive. Traditional personas give you a static snapshot, but what AI systems actually need is a dynamic state map. And these 3 signals are what compose the behavior model by Frog. Frog states that behavior only occurs when motivation, ability, and prompt comes together at the same time. These have to converge simultaneously. So based on these 2 behavior models, what does an AI system need to know to act intelligently? So based on these 2 behavior models, what does an AI system need to know to act intelligently? First, the current stage of change. Then the current motivation, if it's low, medium, high, and how it changed. Then the current ability, time, energy, stress level, and environmental constraints. Contextual triggers, recent health problems, social proof, deadlines. And last, barriers, shame, past failures, environment friction, conflicting priorities. Personas give you a static narrative, a snapshot. What we need are behavior frameworks that give us these dynamic state maps that AI can actually use. Personas can't give you any of those. They were never designed for that purpose. So the question becomes, what framework can? So this is the persona paradox for AI. The moment you freeze someone into a static description, you lose the dynamic state information that AI systems desperately need to personalize and adapt effectively. So what's the alternative, right? The shift we need to make is from personas to what's called audience factors. I first encountered this concept last year at the UXPA conference in a presentation called Using Audience Factors Rather Than Personas. And I think it's exactly the framework we need for this AI layer. Instead of asking, what type of person is this, which leads us to create fictional characters and demographic snapshots, we ask, what attributes are meaningfully shaping behavior in our specific context? This is a fundamental mindset shift. We move from types to attributes, from static dynamics. This is a fundamental mindset shift. We move from types to attributes, from static to dynamic, from who someone is to what state they are in. Let me show you how to approach audience factors using our initial example. For our AI fitness coach, the factors that matter are exactly the ones the trans-theoretical model and the fog model highlight: stage, motivation, ability, and the conditions for effective prompts. Instead of a single busy professional Sarah, the system needs to track these in real time. So how do you actually design for this? It follows a simple pattern: detect behavior signals, infer what state they are in, and adapt your system accordingly. This isn't magic. It's a systematic design based on observed behavior. And what this looks like? Looks like this flow. In the first step, detect, you observe behavior signals like app usage frequency or prompt response rates and session duration patterns. These are things your product already measures. Next step is infer. From those signals, you determine current states. States of change, motivation level, ability in the moment, active barriers, red lines for change, for challenge. And last, in the adapt step, you plan your system feedback. How should your system respond accordingly to act in each state? Should it prompt or stay silent? What tone? And so on. Let me show you how this reasoning looks like. So the idea is to detect the user behavior signals for each state. In the first state, the pre-contemplation, an example could be if a user hasn't opened the app in 2 weeks and ignored the last 5 prompts, infer pre-contemplation. Stop all prompts. Think of educational content or other type of strategy in case they return to the app. The right intervention here at this level is sometimes no intervention. In the second state, the contemplation, an example could be if they open the app 3 times a week and read content but haven't started a workout, infer contemplation. Goal here is the barrier reduction. Design prompts like what's stopping you? Simplify the first step. In the third state, the preparation, and by the way, it's frequently the most skipped state, an example could be if a user has browsed workout plans, saved the program, even set a starting date but hasn't actually begun, they have decided to act but they need help with the first step. So the strategy here is to create those micro commitments. Just walk 10 minutes today. Lower the barrier for that first action. Now, those 2 stages where most products actually focus on and also treat them identically, which is a mistake, are the action and the maintenance states. In the action state, an example, if they complete their first week of workout and the session lasts the full duration and they open the app in the next day, infer early action. But have in mind that this can be a very fragile state, high risk of relapse. The goal is to prepare immediate reinforcement, daily check-ins, celebrate small wins. This is where you protect the new habit formation. And in the maintenance state, an example could be if consistent workouts for 3 months, self-initiate session, rarely skip one, infer that there are established habits, low relapse risk. Now, the system jobs change entirely. The strategy is to introduce variant, challenge, community, reduce the basic motivation prompts. They don't need them anymore. They are annoying. Offer advanced content. So, the same product, 5 complete different systems behavior, all based on the same persona, the 30-year-old busy professional Sarah. I understand that these may be a lot to take in one session, so I have prepared a demo for you all, and you can follow this link to test by yourself.
So, putting all the theory I share into practice. You have here this application, and the idea is to combine all these two behaviors change frameworks, the theoretical theory with the behavior model from Frog. So here you can share your what is your product and the core behavior change you are trying to achieve. And then for each state, you start saying what's the behavior signals, what's the motivation detection and the ability and the prompt. So you see these three are the Frog behavior model incorporate in the trans-theoretical model. And you can put here all your signals, and in the end, the idea is to preview a map. So for the sake of this demo, I already complete here some information based on the example I was providing, an AI-powered fitness coaching app, help users build a consistent exercise habit. So I put here the behavior signals, some high motivation signals, low motivation signals, the same for ability, prompt, and in the end, these generate this preview map. And you can share these with your stakeholders and especially with your data science team to understand how these behaviors can impact your model, how you should plan your experience and your automation to meet these criteria.
And there's another reason to be cautious with personas. One most teams never talk about it. Inclusion. Vulnerability is situational, not a demographic. A 30-year-old academic can be financially vulnerable despite a stable income, because if they struggle with anxiety and avoid financial products because of overwhelming numeric displays. A 65-year-old retiree can be digital capable and financially sophisticated, but still vulnerable to scams because they trust institution message too much. Personas tend to default to stereotypes markers for vulnerability, elderly, rural, low income, but vulnerability emerges from the interaction between persons and systems, not from someone is on the paper. Audience factors push us towards this granularity. Personas pull us back towards archetypes. So let me quickly recap. First, the design problem has fundamentally changed. What worked for static interface doesn't work for adaptive AI. Personas were brilliant for their time, but they have limitation for adaptive systems. Second, we learn that behavior is dynamic, not demographic. The same person needs different things at different stage. AI must track stage, not types. Third, and this is what I hope you take away from today's session, detect, infer, and adapt replace static profiles with observable behavior signals that drive real-time systems response. And fourth, focus on factors, not archetypes. Ask what attributes shape behavior here, not what type of person is this. Personas served us well for a long time. They are not useless. They now serve a different purpose. But today we need tools that match the sophistication of technology we are building. So, a final message is your AI isn't designing for business professional Sarah. It's detecting that this user is currently in action stage with high motivation, medium ability, showing readiness for change. That's the user model AI needs, and the one that personas can't provide it. So, thank you so much for being here. If this session resonates with you, what I shared today is just a small glimpse of what the book explores. It brings together a full system for designing AI that truly respects how humans behave. If you want to go deeper, that's where the journey continues. If you have any question, thoughts, curiosity, feel free to leave a comment or reach out to me directly. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and through my website. And if there's any topic you'd like me to explore in a future video, let me know in the comments, and I would generally love to hear your ideas. Thank you so much.